Hello, my name is Armando Vilaseca. I'm the Secretary of Education, and welcome to our monthly education. Join the conversation. Today, the topic that we will be discussing will be about high schools, and particularly about the innovative high schools in Vermont who are part of the League of Innovative Schools. I have, to my right, I have folks who are working in schools, as well as Meg Powden, who works for my department. I want to go around and let them introduce themselves, and then Meg will tell us about the League of Innovative Schools.
Hi, I'm Rod Reardon. I'm principal of Essex High School in Essex Junction, Vermont.
And I'm Meg Powden, School Effectiveness Coordinator with the Agency of Education, and I also serve as a co-lead for the League of Innovative Schools.
Okay, and I'm Alicia Rominger. I'm a social studies teacher from Williamstown High School, and I also part-time work as a learning coordinator.
I'm Shaylee Martin, and I'm a student at Williamstown Middle High School.
And what grade are you in, Shaylee?
I'm a sophomore.
Now, I'll get back to you two in a second because I want to find out why you were here today, Shaylee. But Meg, could you tell us a little bit about the League and about the New England Secondary School Consortium, and also who are some of the participants in the League of Innovative Schools?
Sure, I'd be happy to. First, though, I want to thank you, Armando, for asking us to be here today. So it's an opportunity for us to highlight the work of the League, and I really appreciate this opportunity. The League of Innovative Schools is a professional learning community that has been designed as a result of the New England Secondary School Consortium. And in the New England Secondary School Consortium, or NESSC, there are three prongs of their work. One is about creating policy, and we have some legislation going forward on flexible pathways to support the work of transformation. Then it's also about practice and public will. And for practice, we have these, in the New England Secondary School Consortium, there's 5 member states. There's Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Connecticut, and Maine. So every member state has a league, and within our league we have 13 schools, and the league is designed to support the schools that really want to look at making changes within their secondary education. And in addition to Williamstown Middle High School and Essex Union High School, we have Virginia's Union High School, U32, South Burlington, Rochester High School, Mount Abraham, Montpelier, Essex, Champlain Valley Union High School, Cabot School, Burlington High School, Brattleboro Union, and BFA St. Albans.
So that's a nice representation from around the state. And one of the things we've been provided with some lots of grant money from foundations to work with this. And we have Representative Peltz, who's on the House Ed Committee. We have Chancellor Tim Donovan, who is the Chancellor of the Vermont State Colleges in it as well, who both won awards this weekend for supporting this.
That was great.
But I think the challenge is not that, as time evolves, high schools are also evolving. And I think what this league and what this organization is doing is providing the support for the schools to do that. Which then brings me to Shaylee, because you guys were recognized today as part of the League of Innovative Schools in Montpelier, so tell me why you were here today.
Well, today we were getting our certificates from the governor for completing, for the first time, we were completing the Career Readiness class.
And tell me what the Career Readiness class is, in your own words.
Well, it gets us ready for life. Like, after we graduate, we need to learn what it's going to be like.
Preparing you for jobs, it's preparing you for continuing your education. And I believe, Alicia, this is the first time that high school students have completed the governor's
That is
program.
correct. The Career Readiness Certificate given by the governor is usually for adults. It was intended for adults that needed to show employers a certain level of skill, and was offered by CCV. In a discussion with CCV, it really became quite obvious why we would make sure that our high school students left with the skills, so there would be no need for that additional adult intervention. And so we developed a class between CCV and Williamstown High School, co-taught by a teacher from Williamstown and an instructor from CCV, which allows students in Williamstown to take part in many opportunities that are geared towards understanding their skills, being able to improve any skills that they might be lacking, start thinking about careers, creating online portfolios, and really taking a look at the things they're learning in school and seeing that they apply elsewhere. So our students were the first 14 students that actually earned the Governor's Career Readiness Certificate, so it was quite an accomplishment.
Right, this is the first, quite an honor to be the first. And Alicia, this is a national program, the Workies. Why don't you just give us a little bit of what that assessment is so that people know what we're talking about?
And there is another level of certification. It's the National Career Readiness Certification, and which our students all earn those as well. And it includes the kinds of skills that employers actually have asked, well, at the very least, we need to make sure that all of our employees have, and they're around math competencies, or a sense of math, reading for information, locating information, just those types of skills that they'll also need for college, so at that level. So, and there's a WorkKeys assessment that is actually created by ACT, the same company that also creates the SATs.
Yeah.
So, certainly things are embedded, and the students are assessed on those skills, and for those, and also have a chance to practice and through kind of an adaptive program to make sure that through the course they end up being able to show that they have those.
And I just want to, Rob, before I get to you, I just want so you're interested, you mentioned this morning what you're interested in doing in the future. Can you tell us what that is?
Well, I want to work with little children. Like, I want to be a preschool teacher or open a daycare because, well, I love kids, so why not make a career out of that? So, like, I'll love my job.
And Shaylee, next year, so has this helped sort of focus a little bit on what you want to do and what you're going to do next year?
Yeah, it definitely has, because I know what it's going to be like outside of high school, like what qualifications I need for, like, jobs.
Right.
So we learned how to build a resume, so that was good. And it's on our online portfolios.
You have an online portfolio, that's great.
So we can show that to our people we're asking to get a job.
Right, your potential employers or schools.
And the online portfolio has several levels of work that the students had to show in there.
So
So,
they
it
can-
was a very nice representation.
So as an employer, then at least I could look at Shaylee's
Certainly.
online portfolio and not only look at her resume, but also see some evidence of her work that she's done.
Yeah, absolutely, and some of these students participate in the Tech Jam. I'm
Yes,
sure you've
yes,
heard of that. And they actually brought their resumes down looking for mentorships for the summer, and the people there were quite impressed that they had so much together. And Shaylee's in 10th grade. I think we
That's
need to
right,
mention
that's
that.
right. That's
She's
why I asked
quite
her earlier,
forward.
she's in 10th
So she
grade.
have a long way to go. She'll be quite prepared
Yes.
having this base
Yes,
right
because
now.
I always think of this as more of a 12th grade thing, but,
That's the problem.
right. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else. So Rob, Williamstown and Essex, quite a big difference in size.
Yes.
A very successful high school. Tell me what the benefits have been for Essex, what your role is, how has it helped you look at things differently? Just tell us a
Sure.
little bit about
I
what you
will.
got in your
First of
mind.
all, congratulations, Shaylee, and all the students at Williamstown. That's very impressive what you've done. In terms of our role at Essex, what we've done is we focused on the flexible multiple pathways in terms of the consortium's work and the benefit of collaborating with other schools throughout New England that have similar goals, challenges, and successes. So as a result, we've used an academy-based model to kind of springboard successes for students for our greater community to see. And by that I mean we looked at our data and we saw where our students were being successful in terms of the typical Carnegie units of gathering credit in math and science, far exceeding what is required. So we felt STEM was a good place to go. And we were fortunate enough to access one of the grants that you alluded to earlier in the show, of $50,000, and we have kind of a state-of-the-art fab lab now
I saw
at
it.
us with CTE. Yes, you came to our open house. Thank you. Thank you. At the same time, and actually earlier than that, we had a number of faculty members who were really passionate in the arts about getting an arts academy off the ground. And at the same time, we had many students who were accessing, when it wasn't a graduation requirement, many arts offerings that we have. So we used the arts as our initial springboard. And with that, there was internship opportunities and a capstone project that seniors have to work on, self-designing their learning with a mentor, a faculty mentor, and then they present to the public. And that's been proven to be very successful in many ways, one of which we're a very traditional high school, and there's a lot of good things with that, but like any tradition, you need to make changes and modifications, and I think some of our veteran staff members have seen the successes that some of our students have had, and I think moving forward, regardless of whether you would like to be in our Arts Academy or STEM Academy or neither, you still can develop a body of work with an adult mentor to create these experiential or extended learning opportunities to help prepare you better for what lies ahead.
Now, was it easy to implement? Because again, I'm familiar with Essex High School and a successful high school. Was it difficult to bring new ideas in? Because sometimes people say, well, things are working well.
Certainly, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, no question. But with the Arts Academy, that was with a group of the faculty that really wanted to get it going, so that was not a piece. But what we did at the same time is we looked to get out of our siloed departmental structure, and we have established 4 interdisciplinary learning communities where teachers are interdisciplinary connected based on choice in terms of a grade 9 core, global arts and humanity, math, science, design, technology, or the overarching umbrella, life, college, and career. So teachers, yes, they still need to meet in their content areas, for example, math, because of Common Core, that has to happen, and actually has to happen K-12, not just 9-12. Right. So that still happens.
Essex Town and Essex Junction.
Yes, and everybody in between. And so that's still continuing, which is really critical. But at the same time, it's given new opportunities to share ideas and expertise with faculty members who they wouldn't normally do, and now some interdisciplinary opportunities are springing up. And really that's feedback we get from students is by the time they're juniors and seniors, and maybe sophomores, they would like to see these non-traditional learning opportunities crop up. So I think we're meeting a need, and at the same time, it's invigorating for our staff.
Meg, just for a second, and I want to, Rob just mentioned flexible pathways, and we've used that terminology, I think, a couple of times. Could you just give folks, in case they're not familiar with, what is it that the whole flexible pathway concept is and how this fits into it?
Okay. Well, one of the things is it is bandied around a lot, so I'm glad you asked about it. I would say as a former administrator, I recognize, and I think maybe, Rob, you can speak to this as well, that our traditional high school setting wasn't working for all kids, that there were some students that were becoming disengaged and disenchanted with the education system. And we, I think, as we've evolved in our work, have noticed that we need to make some changes. We hear about how we have a global economy and we need to prepare our students to enter that global economy. And we'll hear sometimes from the business community that we haven't prepared all of our students really well. So I think there's been many factors that have brought us to this realization of what we need to do to change education at the secondary level. And one of the things we really feel strongly about is that we need to personalize the learning for each and every student. And part of doing that is to work on developing what we call personalized learning plans to really get to know the students and what their interests are and how we can support them in becoming what we call career, college, and citizenship ready, and then designing their education around these flexible pathways so that they have many more choices than students have in the past about what they can access for an education to be prepared. So it's about, our dream is to develop a pathway for every student, you know, and how do we do that? How do we bring schools together to be in conversation? And that's one of the beauties of the league is each school is at a unique place, and they're all working on their own paths for providing an education of excellence for their students. And this way, as Rob mentioned earlier, we can all collaborate together to design it.
And learn.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think we're learning already. I mean, our approach to thinking about pathways, we're a smaller school. To create a program, we don't have enough students that will always fit in
Right.
it. And so our idea of flexibility is to really look at collective experiences, because the exposure to things, because what we found very quickly in the last couple of years thinking about pathways is it's very difficult for a student to create a personal plan of what they want to do if they've had no background work
Right.
to understand even what planning is. And so we've kind of working backwards. I mean, we had this, okay, for a couple of juniors, and I've worked very successfully with a couple of students, putting them on a personal pathway. They're flying with the things they need to do, but it was a lot of work. And we don't have that much work to sit with a student day after day to say, because they don't know. We didn't give them the chance.
Right.
So we are really looking into embedding more exposure for ninth grade students. We have a beautiful plan that we've worked on already and have had some success, but next year at the ninth grade level, we're not going to be asking students, where do you want to be in 5 years? We're going to ask them, who are you right now? You know, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and let them understand themselves, and then they will be able to then, in their sophomore and junior year, have had a chance to do that work. So we find that as important as any of the standards in the Commons Core to really have begin at that ninth grade. That junior or senior year, they don't know if you've never given them a chance to think about it. We've let them conform to what we thought was important to them. They need to know what's important to them. So we're very excited about this pathway approach of really starting to get students to be thinking, I have choices, and I don't have to wait until I'm in college.
Right.
I
Or
can
after I
have them,
graduate.
but we want them to know what those are. So it's quite exciting. And we see this career readiness just one pathway of just exposure, you know, of something they didn't think about before. So Shaylee will be in a much better place to create a personal learning plan next year.
Right. And I was
So-
going to ask you, Shaylee, one of the things, I want to thank you for letting me know that I had the little message there. This year now, you told me earlier that you already have an idea of what you want to study next year. How did you get to that point that you were interested in children, let's say, and you wanted to do something with children?
Well, when I was younger, that younger, but
Right, yeah.
like at this age, I noticed that I really like babysitting, and that I really like just kids in general, because I don't know, I feel like I get along with them.
Yeah.
Like
good.
it's just easy for me to just take care of them. So it's fun.
Yeah.
Like they always just bring a smile to your face, even if they're doing stuff that's.
So that babysitting experience then, when you started looking at what you might be interested in doing in the future, you felt that being a teacher of some sort was what you were interested in doing.
Yeah, well, my aunt, she was a daycare provider
Okay.
for a while, and she loved it, and I don't know, it seems like just so much fun.
A lot of work.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
true, but you get to see everybody be happy, and you get to teach them, like you're in charge of what they learn at that age, so.
Very important. And next year, as part of this whole, because you're a sophomore, which is really, I was very impressed to learn that you were a sophomore. I thought these were mostly 11th and 12th graders.
Well,
But
that's the conception.
that's right, that's a misconception, but I think most people have that misconception, and I'm no different than most people, so I figured might as well let people know what their misconceptions are and then have that change.
That's why we're happy to be here.
That's right, that's why you're here, you help me change those misconceptions. So, was part of your, now next year you're saying you're going to the Career and Technical Center.
Well, hopefully if I get in.
Okay, was that decision made, was part of that decision made as part of the work that you've done this year with the,
I think maybe she had her goals in mind already. She was one that did, I think, if I could speak for you, because she's shared this with me, what was very useful for her was to get validation that she did have that basis of skills. I mean, some she had to work on, and she was happy to have the work keys and the Curriculum 101 to work on that on her own to get herself to the level she wanted to be to earn the certificate. But she feels more confident that, well, okay, you know, I can move on to that, and I at least feel like I'll do okay.
Right.
She knows she needs, you know, that she can grow from that. I think that's the part of the beauty of it.
And my cousin and his girlfriend both went there, and they said that it was like wicked fun.
Yeah.
And I am not a traditional learner. Like I can't focus in class if it's a really long time I'm talking. So why not like go to a place where I could be
More engaged and you're working
Yeah.
with things, yes. Because you'll start working with little kids pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah.
I think they have a child care center in the school, so you'll get that applied learning. So what you're studying in class, you're going to see in the school. And it's also really nice. I know that at Essex and other high schools that have a tech center like Randolph, it's great for the high school kids to see when some of the times the little children are in the hallways. It just provides a perspective that maybe they don't always think, because they always think high school is just high school age students. And here you'll be working with 3 and 4 year olds, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rob, now at Essex, or not at Essex, but part of this, is there a lot of sharing going on between Essex and Williamstown and, you know, Cabot and U32 and others? Does this provide that sort of?
Well, that's kind of the beauty of the whole process is you have the opportunity to meet folks from all these other places in New England. We have a relationship with Falmouth, Maine, because we have similar STEM initiatives. We've hosted other schools. We've traveled to other schools in terms of visits, both in the consortium and in the League of Innovative Schools, and some without, who have been interested in what we're doing. We hosted Rutland High School for a day in December on STEM. So there's wonderful opportunities for sharing, and I think it's probably one of the crown jewels of the whole program, because we're all facing similar issues and we're at different places, and we can help one another be more efficient, and in the long run have a better product for the students. And the other piece with the students, I think it's really important to have them be part of the assessment of what you're doing, to make sure, with the changes I'm referring to make sure that it's meeting the needs. We may think it's meeting the needs, but having the students weigh in and give input, I think, is critical as well. And we did intentionally do that this February to get student input for a day.
And I guess, Alicia, I'll ask you, or Rob, both of you, this is not to say that, you know, schools that are not part of the league are not necessarily moving in this direction or aren't doing certain things.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think this just gives forum to have that discussion. So I think to open it up more to maybe something like this, to make schools be where, I think before the league, I think schools feel that, you know, they're in this alone for their community. And it's not true. And I think that's been the beauty. I mean, we can share, you know, what's going well, what's not going well, and we're all in this together. So although we cherish our community schools, our town schools, but in fact, we want to educate all Vermonters and all of New England. I mean, that's what we've learned. And I think it's really time to step and put ourselves out there in a bigger community, not only regionally, but, you know, globally, because that's the way the world's going. So
I think one thing, Armando, over the 4 years, we've had a couple of conferences where we've been able to run them in Nashua. And then because more and more people have gone, we've had to go to Massachusetts. And I think it was 484 participants last week when we were down there. So it was very crowded, which is a good thing. So I just see it growing and becoming more expansive. And from our staff, just to speak for Essex, I know we've been getting different people going each year to present and to participate. And it's really helped to spread the word when we get back to debrief the staff and some students of what's going on. So to kind of keep that excitement percolating through the school community.
Right.
It's good stuff.
And I would assume that in both of your communities, the school board is supportive of what you're doing.
Yes.
And that this is a direction that they want you to go. And I know you had a
Thank
school
you.
board member today at the
Well, actually, we
presentation.
had two there.
Oh, I didn't see this.
We
Yeah.
did, and, you know, thank you for bringing that up because it needs to be mentioned. The support of the school board is tremendously important. So, and then we hear in the regional area that boards are not as supportive. They're struggling with just getting the idea that, you know, we do need to do things a little bit differently for students. So, yes, I mean, our school board is really allowing us to put out our plans. They're trusting us to work with the students, and that goes with the superintendent as well. I mean, so you have to have it's more communication is very, very important. And I think the more difficult part, and you may find the same thing, is to try to change the mindset a little bit of even the students and the families, because one thing, and we've heard this at the league, so I'm kind of stealing this, that everybody's an expert on education because everyone's taken part in it. And yes, everyone should have a voice in it, but for many that's, oh, well, that's the way I had it, so it should be good enough for my, you know, I'm okay. And that's true. And we are okay, and we've been doing a good job, but the world is changing. So we're just still continuing to prepare students, but it's for the world we live in now. And so we send that message out as much as we can that we weren't doing anything wrong. We were trying to prepare students the best that we could at that time. You know, I think maybe it was you that, you know, maybe mentioned it earlier. Well, you know, before people could even drop out of school and there were jobs and, you know, so on. Well, that's not true anymore. So we have to, you know, so I think if our communities could just, you know, understand that we are just trying to deal with our students in today's world. And that's changed a lot real quick. Technology's done that. And so that's...
I think your point is good, and then with the flexible multiple pathways, that's one major emphasis with the consortium. The other is proficiency-based or standards-based reporting. And I think in particular what you said a moment ago rings true in the sense that that's where we have to do a good job educating our students and parents in the sense that, well, yes, colleges and universities will accept our transcripts simply because they're not the traditional way of reporting. And I think that's certainly the next hurdle that I know we have to look to tackle at Essex. But I'm sure we're not alone. And that's another piece, Armando, that, you know, we're not so far ahead in that area, but there are many schools in the consortium that are, so we can lean on them for their knowledge and work to do.
And Rob, you're talking specifically, folks know, is that when students apply to college, 2-year, 4-year, technical training, whatever it is, they have to send transcripts. And as we move away from the traditional English, science, math type of classes and look at experiential learning, how does that then fit into a transcript so that when a college looks at that, or an e-transcript or an e-portfolio, as you have, how is it that they can make those decisions and say, oh, okay, I see that Shaylee's done this, so that means that she's achieved this level. And that's and we can't have whatever we do be an obstruction to students being able to continue their education, which is an important piece.
It absolutely is.
And I'm really glad you mentioned that, because part of the work of the consortium is we have someone named Duke Albanese who's been going out to the colleges and universities across New England to talk about what a proficiency-based transcript might look like.
Right.
Would they be willing to review these transcripts as they come in through admissions? And he's had a great response. We've already had 25 colleges and universities throughout New England sign off on a pledge that they would take serious consideration of any student that applied with a proficiency-based transcript.
And Meg, that's a good point. Besides that Duke was the former commissioner from Maine, Commissioner of Education, it allows for the 4 states, or the 5 states rather, to not have to do all these on their own. So the New England Secondary School Consortium has allowed the higher ed folks to be part of the conversation, not separate and then hear about it later, so that they can be looking to accept these type of credits, these type of programs. And it's been done collaboratively as opposed to Vermont doing it by ourselves, Maine by themselves, so on and so forth. And we're almost out of time, and I wanted to ask Shaylee one last question. I told her that I told her I was going to ask her one question. And that is about, would you recommend what you did to other students, and if so, why?
I would recommend this for other students because you basically, if you pass, if you finish and you get your certificate, that is something you can show when you go off to college or when you go get a job. Like you have a step up in the world when you have that certificate.
Good. Well, thank you. Thank you all for coming. I want to thank you for joining us as well for another session of education. Join the conversation. And if you have a chance and you get an opportunity to go to the website, you can see this, see some of the information that we will also be putting about the high schools. And also there's currently a bill called Flexible Pathways Bill, which encourages this, provides dual enrollment, early college opportunities that we hope to get through this year, which will just be additional support for what these schools and all of the schools around the state are trying to do. So thank you, and we'll see you next month.